The unauthorized military amphibious exercise of the Chinese Navy in the vicinity waters of Escoda Shoal saw the presence of two hovercraft which was deployed in the West Philippine Sea for the first time, according to the Philippine Coast Guard. PCG spokesperson for the West Philippine Sea, Commodore J. Tariela, says the unauthorized military drills of the People's Liberation Army Navy in Escoda Shoal was held in concurrence of the scientific research conducted by the Philippine government on June 4. Tariela notes that China's drills in Escoda Shoal is illegal.
This is the first time that we have monitored the Philippine Navy vessels launching hovercraft, as many as two hovercrafts actually. And I would like to highlight the fact that such military exercise or military activity of the PLA Navy is a violation of the international law because that part of the water is within our exclusive economic zone.
According to Tariela, the drills were conducted about 15 to 20 nautical miles away from the Philippine fleet conducting marine research. China Coast Guard and People's Liberation Army Navy assets were found tailing the Philippine vessels conducting the mission. A Chinese rigid-hull inflatable boat also conducted close-quarter maneuvers against PCG escorts and the survey team divers. The PCG then challenged the Chinese vessel as it headed closer.
China Coast Guard, this is Philippine Coast Guard. We are conducting marine scientific research activity. Please keep clear with us.
Escoda Shoal is located 75 nautical miles from the coast of Palawan, while within the Philippines' exclusive economic zone. A marine scientist says almost all corals in the shallow waters of Escoda Shoal may already be dead. Dr. Jonathan Anticamara of the University of the Philippines Institute of Biology says this discovery was made during a 2-day diving expedition in parts of Escoda Shoal. According to Anticamara, the expedition noted quote-unquote extensive bleaching of Escoda Shoal corals.
Majority or almost all of the shallow water ng Escoda Shoal are now dead. Yung mga corals. So, given the trend, kasi walang exemption eh. There's no space na nakikita namin na may buhay pa na natira. So for me, ang interpretation ko dan ay that's really an ecological disaster for Escoda.
What we found on the first day ay extensive na masyado yung bleaching.
Last month, the Philippine Coast Guard reported that crushed corals were dumped in Escoda Shoal in a development that could be a prelude to the emergence of an artificial island. According to PCG spokesperson for the West Philippine Sea, Commodore J. Tariela, this possible dumping of crushed corals was learned during the deployment of BRP Teresa Magbanwa in the area. Tariela said the ship's deployment was done after Anticamara found coral rubble or dead coral fragments quote-unquote piled on Pag-asa Case 1, 2, and 3 that are now exposed during high tide. In a presentation on May 4, Anticamara said development in Pag-asa Case are quote-unquote possible products of island building activities. 2 Chinese Navy warships were spotted in the Basilan Strait in Mindanao on Thursday, June 6. In a statement on Friday, June 7, the Armed Forces of the Philippines says the People's Liberation Army Navy vessels passed through the Basilan Strait within the Zamboanga Peninsula. They were identified as a training ship with bow number 83 and an amphibious transport dock with bow number 999. According to the AFP, it dispatched BRP Domingo de Luana to shadow and monitor the passage of the 2 People's Liberation Army Navy vessels. The Philippine vessel also issued a standard challenge to the Chinese warships. The Basilan Strait is recognized as an international sea lane that allows the innocent passage of vessels from various nations. Senator Rizzo Hontiveros warns that individuals or groups leaking planned government raids on Philippine offshore gaming operators will be held liable to the law. Her remark comes amid reports that the raid of a Pogo in Pampanga was leaked, prompting the Presidential Anti-Organized Crime Commission to launch an investigation since many Pogo workers were able to escape even before authorities arrived in the Pogo complex to conduct the operation. In a statement, Hontiveros points out that due to the raids, heinous crimes brought by Pogos such as scamming, torture, and human trafficking are being exposed. While Hontiveros commends the Presidential Anti-Organized Crime Commission for their operations against illegal Pogos, the senator also calls it quote-unquote unfortunate how there seemed to be a quote-unquote leakage in their operations on Wednesday, June 5. As chair of the Senate Committee on Women, Children, Family Relations, and Gender Equality, Hontiveros vows that those who conspire with Chinese syndicates will be held accountable. The Presidential Anti-Organized Crime Commission earlier reported 158 foreigners and 29 Filipinos were quote-unquote rescued during the June 5 raid. Taal volcano showed degassing activity that generated thick volcanic smog or VOG on Friday morning, June 7. In a Facebook post, FIVOG says the degassing activity occurred at the volcano's main crater. It adds that alert level 1 remains over Taal volcano. The agency is also advising the public to take necessary precautions against VOG exposure. According to FIVOGs, VOG is a mixture of sulfur dioxide and other volcanic gases that combine with atmospheric oxygen, moisture, dust, and sunlight, which can lead to thick volcanic smog that can harm human health. Sulfur dioxide is a mixture of sulfur and oxygen which can cause eye, throat, and nose irritation. State volcanologists are advising people exposed to VOG to use face masks, drink plenty of water to ease the discomfort from exposure, and consult a doctor if needed.